What if I told you that a routine layover at one of America's busiest airports turned into a federal investigation because of a single dog's bark, and what the police found inside an ATM machine shocked even the most seasoned officers? If you love edge-of-your-seat mysteries inspired by real American grit, loyalty, and jaw-dropping twists, hit subscribe right now because this story will make you question how well we really know the strangers standing beside us in line at the airport. It was just past 6:40 a.m. at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport in Atlanta, Georgia, and the departures hall buzzed with the tired impatience of early travelers dragging wheeled suitcases across polished floors, business people clutching coffee cups like life preservers, families corralling sleepy children beneath glowing flight boards. When a golden-brown German shepherd named Rex suddenly froze near a standalone ATM tucked between a souvenir shop and a newsstand. Rex wasn't just any dog. He belonged to Officer Daniel Ruiz of the Atlanta Police Department's K-9 unit, a 10-year veteran who trusted the dog's instincts more than most human informants. And though Rex was officially trained for explosives detection, Daniel often said the dog had an uncanny sense for things that didn't belong, like he could smell a lie in the air. That morning, Rex's ears shot up, his body stiffened, and then he let out a sharp, explosive bark directly at the ATM machine, startling a woman, withdrawing cash and sending a ripple of uneasy laughter through nearby travelers who assumed the dog had mistaken his own reflection in the metal surface. But Daniel knew better, because Rex didn't bark without reason, not in a crowded airport where every sound mattered. And when the dog barked again, louder, more urgent, claws scraping against the base of the machine, Daniel's pulse quickened. He signaled to nearby officers to clear a small perimeter, offering calm reassurances to confused passengers, while his mind raced through possibilities. Explosives hidden inside the machine, a tampering device, something chemical. Within minutes, airport security shut down the immediate area. TSA agents redirected foot traffic, and an uneasy hush replaced the usual travel chatter as Daniel crouched beside Rex, who was now whining and pawing at a small ventilation panel at the bottom of the ATM. Bomb squad protocols kicked in, and as officers from the Atlanta Police Department conferred with airport authorities, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't about explosives at all, because Rex's alert behavior was different, less aggressive, more insistent, like he was trying to tell them someone was trapped. When the bomb squad technician carefully removed the front panel under controlled procedures, everyone leaned in, bracing for wires or suspicious packages. But instead, what they saw first was a tangle of insulation foam that had been recently disturbed, and behind it, something that looked horrifyingly human. A pale hand wedged awkwardly between the machine's inner casing and the wall. Gasps erupted from the officers, and one rookie staggered backward as Daniel instinctively pulled Rex away, his stomach dropping. It took several tense minutes to fully dismantle the lower compartment, and when they finally did, they uncovered the body of a man crammed into a hollow space that should not have existed inside the ATM at all, his face ashen, eyes closed, dressed, not like a maintenance worker, but like a corporate executive. Tailored suit, expensive watch, wedding ring. The airport terminal, already chaotic, exploded into sirens and flashing lights as homicide detectives were called in, and yellow tape cordoned off half the concourse, while news crews began gathering outside the terminal doors, catching wind of something major unfolding. The victim was soon identified as Thomas Whitaker, a senior regional executive for a financial technology firm that serviced ATM machines across several southern states, including Georgia. And what shocked investigators even more was that Whitaker had been reported missing just 12 hours earlier by his wife, who claimed he had flown into Atlanta for an emergency meeting with a contractor after discovering discrepancies in machine maintenance reports. Daniel stood off to the side, gripping Rex's leash, watching as detectives photographed the scene, and though K-9 units weren't usually central to homicide investigations, everyone acknowledged that without Rex's bark, the body might not have been discovered for days. The first twist came quickly when forensic techs found no signs of forced entry into the ATM's outer casing, suggesting that whoever placed Whitaker inside had access codes or keys, narrowing suspects to a small pool of authorized technicians and corporate employees. And suspicion immediately fell on a subcontracted maintenance company that had serviced that specific machine too. Nights prior, detectives pulled security footage from the airport's extensive camera network, scanning hours of grainy video until they found a white service van parked near a restricted loading entrance around midnight. And the driver, wearing a uniform with the maintenance company's logo, was seen wheeling a large equipment case toward the concourse. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual, but then they noticed something chilling. The van entered the airport, yet no footage showed it leaving. Meanwhile, Rex refused to settle. tugging Daniel back toward the ATM area even after the body had been removed, sniffing intensely around the wall behind the machine. Daniel mentioned this to the lead detective, who reluctantly authorized a closer inspection of the wall cavity. And what they discovered behind the drywall stunned everyone. A narrow, improvised crawl space that connected to an unused utility corridor, large enough for a person to move through. Suddenly, the theory shifted from a simple body disposal to something far more elaborate, perhaps an organized scheme using ATM installations as access points into secure airport infrastructure. As investigators traced the crawl space, they found tools, a discarded maintenance badge with a forged RFID chip, and, hidden inside a ventilation duct, a duffel bag containing over $200,000 in cash. The narrative exploded across national news, with commentators speculating about money laundering, inside jobs, even terrorism. But Daniel couldn't ignore a nagging thought. If this was about money, why kill a high-ranking executive and hide him in such a conspicuous place? The second twist came when Whitaker's autopsy revealed he hadn't died from blunt force or gunshot wounds, but from asphyxiation, likely suffocated in the cramped compartment, and toxicology reports indicated he had been sedated beforehand. This suggested premeditation, someone who intended to keep him quiet rather than stage a dramatic murder. As detectives dug into Whitaker's recent activities, they uncovered encrypted emails between him and an investigative journalist based in Washington, D.C., hinting that Whitaker had uncovered a sophisticated skimming operation embedded not by outside hackers, but by insiders within his own company. These devices didn't just steal card numbers. They siphoned small transaction fees into shell accounts that, over years, amounted to millions. The airport ATM was one of hundreds potentially compromised. Suddenly, the case shifted from local homicide to federal financial crime, drawing in the FBI and agents from the Secret Service, who specialized in electronic fraud. Daniel found himself attending briefings he'd never expected, sitting alongside federal agents in suits as they mapped out a network of tampered machines across the Southeast. Meanwhile, surveillance footage finally captured the white van exiting the airport at 3:12 a.m., but the license plate had been swapped with a stolen tag. Through meticulous cross-referencing of toll booth cameras and traffic cams across Atlanta, investigators tracked the van to a warehouse in an industrial district near the outskirts of the city. When a raid was conducted, officers expected to find a ring of cyber criminals, but instead, they found something stranger. Rows of ATM machines in various states of disassembly and a single elderly man named Harold Benton, a former engineer who claimed he was refurbishing outdated units for resale. Benton insisted he had no knowledge of Whitaker's death, and though cash and electronic components littered the warehouse, nothing directly tied him to murder. Then came the third twist. Fingerprints inside the airport ATM didn't match Benton or any maintenance contractor, but matched a woman named Claire Whitaker, the victim's own wife. The revelation stunned everyone, especially when detectives learned Claire had once worked as a cybersecurity analyst for her husband's company before abruptly leaving her position 2 years earlier. When questioned, Claire initially denied being anywhere near the airport, but cell phone data placed her in Atlanta the night of the murder, and surveillance from a parking garage captured her entering the same white van seen in airport footage, confronted. With the evidence, Claire's composure cracked, yet her confession was far from straightforward. She claimed Thomas had discovered the skimming operation months earlier and planned to expose it, not out of moral duty, but because he intended to cut her out of profits she had secretly been diverting for years. According to Claire, she had been the mastermind behind the fee-siphoning software, exploiting her insider knowledge to embed code into firmware updates. And when Thomas found out, he threatened to report her unless she transferred full control of the offshore accounts to him. What followed was a confrontation at the airport ATM, chosen deliberately because it housed one of her earliest test installations. She admitted to sedating him during a staged meeting, intending only to scare him into compliance by locking him temporarily inside the machine's access cavity, but claimed she panicked when complications arose. However, forensic timelines contradicted parts of her story, suggesting someone else had assisted in sealing the compartment. Under mounting pressure, Claire revealed another name, Marcus Hale, a senior operations manager at the maintenance subcontractor, who had been romantically involved with her for over a year. Hale was arrested in Texas while attempting to board a flight to Mexico, and digital evidence on his laptop confirmed he had helped construct the hidden crawl spaces inside multiple ATM installations, exploiting gaps in airport renovation. Blueprints, As the layers unraveled, it became clear that the operation wasn't just about stolen fees, but about creating discreet smuggling routes within high-security locations. The duffel bag of cash found in the ventilation duct was merely a fraction of what had passed through those corridors. Yet the most shocking twist came during Hale's interrogation when he revealed that Thomas Whitaker had not been an unwilling victim, but had initially collaborated in expanding the scheme before turning against Claire over control and profits. This blurred the moral lines, transforming the narrative from clear-cut villainy into a tangled web of greed and betrayal. In the end, it was Rex's bark that exposed not only a hidden body, but a multi-state conspiracy involving corporate executives, fraudulent firmware, and clandestine airport passageways. Officer Daniel Ruiz received commendations for his role, though he always insisted the credit belonged to his partner with 4 legs, national media. Hailed Rex as a hero, and for weeks, travelers at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport paused to glance at ATMs with new suspicion, reminded that beneath ordinary surfaces secrets can fester. Claire Whitaker was convicted on charges ranging from fraud to second-degree murder. Marcus Hale received a lengthy federal sentence, and investigations into the company revealed systemic oversight failures that reshaped ATM security protocols nationwide. Yet long after the headlines faded, Daniel sometimes replayed that first bark in his mind, wondering how close they had come to missing it in the morning noise, how easily a life and a conspiracy could have remained sealed behind metal and drywall if not for a dog who sensed that something was terribly, unmistakably wrong.